Welcome to Monday. Welcome to the final day of July 2023 with the icon. And I'm going to stick with icon. Okay. Mike Smith. I'm Dan Ramey.
I've gotten taller or you've gotten shorter, one or the other.
I don't know.
Are you slinking down in your chair or what?
Well, I got to bed this morning as opposed to last night, so maybe I am kind of
slinky,
tired. Yeah. Out to the Pike County Fair yesterday, so we'll talk more about that coming up here shortly, and we'll get you caught up to date on what's happening with this date in history. We'll also take a look at which is fair related, right?
Correct.
Okay, and we'll also get you caught up to date on sports. Go Reds. Go Paints.
And Guardians.
And Guardians. All that just ahead in a matter of moments. If you're watching this for the very first time, you've never seen Who the Heck We Are. Maybe you stumbled across this program for some reason in your Facebook feed. We, of course, worked together in radio for nearly 25 years. Mm-hmm. Both of us combined more than 80 years experience. That's scary, right, in itself. But most of it was right here in the Chillicothe area. And so our radio careers were coming to an end, and we were given an opportunity to do something different. So here we are. Unfortunately, you have to see us as opposed to listen to us on radio. But that may be changing soon, too. We'll maybe later this week we'll be able to tell people about what's going on there.
You said that last week.
I know. We've been sitting on it for a while, and, things happen, and so, yeah. But hopefully this week we'll be able to divulge all the information. We'll see how it goes.
And we don't even have to be subpoenaed to give it up.
We could be, though, I suppose,
yeah.
If somebody did show up through the door here.
Yeah, service.
That happened to my brother once. He's working at his shop, and somebody shows up, and he says, "I've learned never to say who I was." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, this guy shows up, and he says, 'Are you Mike Ramey?' He says, 'Yes, I am. Here's a subpoena to come to court.'" It was it wasn't him. It was a divorce battle between one of his customers about the camper, and he had to go and testify. Wow. He said, I couldn't get the rest of the day back. So when you walk in asking who I am, I say, "Who wants to know?" So lessons I learned from my big brother, Mike. All right, coming up in just a moment to look at what's making news for us today. And first, though, a look at our forecast.
Cooler weather this week.
Yay.
Still 81 for a high, but much cooler than we had last week. Sunshine as well, and temperatures will remain in the low to mid-80s throughout much of the week. I don't think I've seen anything about rain until late in the week, so we're looking nice for the next few days if you have to get out and do some yard work.
And I think I'm okay with that because part of my mower broke yesterday.
Oops.
Or not yesterday, but Saturday. So I'm kind of stuck. May have to bring home a goat or something from the Pike County Fair.
And he's not talking about Michael Jordan.
That's right.
Or Tom Brady, yeah.
It would be something. Who is the greatest of all time amongst cutting grass?
Forrest Gump,
maybe.
And what was he riding on, by the way? Was that a snapper that he was on?
No, I think it was it was something that is not a brand that is sold by our.
Oh, well, we won't talk about
company.
That. Yeah.
So, Mike, trying to get us into trouble.
I don't think I ever saw the signage. I just was looking at the designs.
I'm pretty sure I remember. Okay. So, yeah. Can we go on?
We can move on, absolutely.
Right. Coming up here in just a moment, we'll get you caught up with news next. But first, these words from our sponsors.
You haven't had vodka soda like this. No one has. Made with the world's smoothest vodka plus real juice. New White Claw Vodka Soda.
It's the details that make the difference between good enough and simply the best. At Skag Power Equipment, the difference is in designing lawnmowers with your convenience and comfort in mind. At SCAG, we believe that quality and substance matter, and that you'll appreciate the attention to detail and craftsmanship we put into every single product. Thick steel and heavy-duty components provide you with unmatched reliability and performance. SCAG, simply the best.
Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, your trusted comfort advisor for more than 40 years now. In fact, one of their recent posts they had on their Facebook page was congratulations to Gene, who's been with them for like 38 years, I think, something like that. So congratulations. You can see that on our news feed here. Go down through. We shared some of our sponsorship posts from their social media over the weekend, so check that out here on Facebook. All right, let's take a look at what's going and making news today on our website. I see a school bus there.
Yeah, but we're starting out with still talking about fairs, and Pike County Fair got up and running last night.
That it did, and there's a big crowd for the dedication to the grandstand. And there they are. It seats 2,000, but there weren't 2,000 people there, obviously. But most of them were up on stage. This is the fair board, and many of the people that were instrumental in making all this happen. And, of course, right after they did this, they jumped into the apple pie auction. And this was really cool to see this, because one of the pies was not a pie. It was a strawberry shortcake, this one right here, and it got sold twice.
Oh,
because they donated it back. But here's the top prize right here for the big pie, $3,000 for the purchase right there. Now, of course, after this was the Queen's pageant. So the King and Queen have been crowned. And congratulations to the fair royalty. There she is, Kyla Penn. She is a Piketon High School incoming junior. She's talking in this interview that I did with her about Kylie Burdett. She was on the fair court last year, but she said she and Kylie are best friends, and it came down to those two. The king is Connor Snyder, and we didn't do an interview with Connor because, well, he left as soon as everything was done. He was getting ready for all the other stuff going on, because they did a bunch of junior fair Olympics and all that kind of stuff and everything too. So, but it was cool to see the reaction of the kids and the family when it all came down. Of course, they've got more activity today.
Yeah, they start out, actually they've already started out with some of the weigh-ins, as you see, bright and early this morning. Later this afternoon, the Horse Show Arena will be busy with their Junior Fair contest at 2. And then later tonight, the Grandstand Entertainment. Is that Trey Myers? I can't.
Nate Smith.
Well, there was something else on that schedule that didn't jive with that. So
oh, okay.
That's
Nate Smith and Restless Road will be the this is why they had everything last night, because usually their big country music performances on Tuesdays. They can only be here on Monday this year, so they moved everything to Sunday. But you'll take a look in capital letters there. You see rides will not open until after inspected and approved by the state inspector. There were no rides there set up last night, so they must be moving the rides in today to get inspection done there.
Yeah, see that before Restless. There's Trey Myers. Maybe that's an
Maybe
opening act or something.
Yeah, he might be an opener for Restless Road. And then, okay, yeah, I see that now.
So rides close at 10, so they must going to have them ready to go sometime today.
That's my guess. It's up to the state inspector, I suppose.
Keep your fingers crossed.
And they started, I saw one ride being brought in before I left, so maybe they all came in overnight. They must have been shutting down from another fair coming to this one.
That is very possible. Those guys talk about busy.
Yes.
They're running all over the place.
They may, when you get there, they look like they're leaning up against stuff, taking your tickets and all, but they're pretty busy all the time.
Yes, sir. Now what's got? How about this? Chillicothe has enjoyed this designation in years past. Well, Lancaster, one of 5 named to be the best hometown according to Ohio Magazine. That came out over the weekend from our friends at Destination Downtown Lancaster. congratulations to everyone up in Lancaster, and great designation to be referred to as one of the top 5 cities or communities in the state of Ohio.
I want to see that sign, though, in front of Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, I
don't think it's really there.
Yeah, I think that was clip art or something like that. Most area elementary through high schools will be headed back to class sometime in the month of August. We'll be able to say this month starting tomorrow. Mm-hmm. We have an extensive list that Dan put together for area districts and their scheduled start dates for the 23-24 school year within this website story at littermedia.com, and we've already had a lot of people hitting on that. And some of the schools are going back over like a 2-day period, maybe by first last name, and then I've seen like juniors start one day at the vocational school, seniors the next.
And Logan Elm is going to be one of those because of opening their new school. Mm-hmm. So they have a handful of grades going on an even day and a handful of grades going on an odd day. And I found that many of the kindergartens were breaking it down to the last names. Mm-hmm. I guess that's to help the kids, but also to help teachers that they're not overwhelmed with all those kids coming
getting
back.
That roster filled out.
And I forgot about Western. I tracked it down this morning, modified the website so it's updated. There you'll find that.
Very good, sir. So
I couldn't see them in my own backyard.
Yeah. So if you're scratching your head, what's the start of school? Well, take a look at this story, and it'll get you caught up.
And if yours isn't on there, let us know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Highland County Health Department has a free mobile vision clinic day coming up on August the 11th, exclusively for children age 4 through 18. The district has partnered with Ohio Optometric Foundation, Vision to Learn, and Foundation for Appalachian Ohio to provide a team of expert optometrists that will be on site providing comprehensive eye exams and screenings for your little ones, ensuring their eyes stay healthy and their vision remains crystal clear, especially going into a new school year.
I think I better go get my eyes checked because, I see a backward C and a forward C. Uh-huh. I see an upside, but I don't see the A, V, T, Z.
Well, L. I just got new glasses and I'm seeing the same thing, so there's nothing wrong with you.
Okay.
The Pike County Health Department will be at the Back to School Bash giving back to school vaccinations for all ages. That's August the 12th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now, of course, the Pike County Fair is going on this week, but this event will be on the Pike County Fairgrounds on August the 12th when everything's cleared out from the fair. From our friends at the Fairfield County Health Department, a suicide prevention bench and sign presented to the village of Pleasantville. It was part of their effort to raise awareness of mental illness in Fairfield County and promote resources like the Pound 988 Lifeline and their local Fairfield County 211. Michael Worth reception is coming up this Friday, August 4th at the Pump House Center for the Arts. Come see his art and enjoy refreshments on that opening reception, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. The exhibit itself is up through August 31st at the Pump House Center for the Arts.
Looks like he hosts a podcast, too.
Very well could be. I don't see that anywhere, but...
I just see the microphone.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He's in studio.
Going back to Fairfield County, the village of Baltimore has their festival parade this Saturday. That'll be at 10:30, and, of course, that's the Queen and her court for the festival in Baltimore, which... Baltimore. Well, if you know anything about Liberty Union High School, that's in the village of Baltimore. Primrose Retirement Center in Lancaster will be honoring the fallen veterans and support the wounded at their August 5th all-Jeep cruise-in. They have partnered with Mid-Ohio Jeepers organization to bring a variety of Jeeps from all over the state. They're also encouraging any local Jeepers to attend, too, for the 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. event on Wesley Way in Lancaster.
Guess I need to go over because I got a Jeep now, too,
That's right. You can get in on the act.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of vehicles, Ohio's Small Town Museum and Old Town Jail Museum, both located in Asheville, up in Pickaway County, have been selected to be stops for the 34th annual All-Ohio Model T Jamboree hosted by the Tickin' Tees of Central Ohio. Approximately 70 Model T cars will be visiting the streets of Asheville on Saturday, September the 2nd, between 2 and 4 p.m. Now, this tour, if you will, goes September 1st through the 3rd, but they're only in Asheville from 2 to 4 that Saturday, September the 2nd.
And Timex ticks, but these are Model Ts that are ticking.
Also known in their day as Tin Lizzies. Mm-hmm. Staying with...
wasn't that a band? No, that was Thin Lizzy.
Yeah, maybe a takeoff. Road report in Athens County, a resurfacing project on State Route 78 between Township Road 675 and the Morgan County line. So that's way over there in the other part of the county. Traffic will be maintained by flaggers, and they anticipate this work will be done by August the 15th.
You know, we were talking last week about Morgan bringing his army through Pike County, where much of the Morgan anything is related to that Civil War moment. I forgot when we were talking about that last week, there is and I had suggested if Western ever had to change their nickname from Indians to something, go with Raiders. Mm-hmm. I forgot that there's a 4-H club in Pike County called Morgan's Raiders.
Morgan's Raiders.
And they wear these blue shirts with red lettering all over them, and they got a big applause last night. So maybe my idea of if Western ever has to change over to Raiders might be an okay thing.
Gain some favor, yeah.
Maybe.
We'll see.
By the way, I did shoot video of the parade of clubs last night. I don't know, does Pickaway County do this? I don't think Ross County does it.
I'm not familiar with anybody but Pike on it.
Pike County has done this for a number of years now. And it's really cool because all the kids get together. They wear their colorful shirts, and you walk down the track. Mm-hmm. And I got there just in time to capture all of that. I'd been down by the swine barn and the hog barn or beef barn. And by the time I got up, they were just starting. So I was out of breath, panting with the camera as the kids are going by. But I'll have that for you later today, available on our YouTube channel, and some still shots of the kids as well. It's really neat because you try. One of the clubs had 77 members.
Huh.
You talk about herding cats. We were doing our best to squeeze them in to get into a nice little shot where we could take that. So that's all coming up on our social media as well as our YouTube channel. And, of course, you can go to our website to see more, read more, and hear more, including the interview with the new queen for 2023, Kyla Penn. All right, coming up in a moment, we'll get you caught up to date on what's happening with sports. Some good stuff for our local baseball teams. Saginaw Valley Dumpsters, 740-253-8389. If you have need for a dumpster, whether it's a cleanup job at your residence or your business, give Carl a call, 740-253-8389, and do us a favor. Tell him Dan and Mike sent you, would you?
Find a career you love with Pickaway Ross Adult Education. Skilled trades careers are in high demand with no signs of slowing down. Pickaway Ross offers career training programs with expert instructors and hands-on learning tactics to create a variety of opportunities. Visit our website for more information.
This is Andy Tomlinson. When ensuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
For transportation options in Ross County, call Ross County Health District's Mobility Management Team, 740-779-9652. Time for sports.
Yeah.
With Mike Smith.
Starting out with a high school over the weekend, Circleville Summer Volleyball Tournament won by Meadowbrook up in Byesville. They beat Fairfield Union out of Fairfield County in the finals. Congratulations to Meadowbrook and Fairfield Union for getting to the finals. Now, that was pretty much a wrap, if you will, on all of the summer activities because today is the first day of fall sports practice for all area high school and junior high. So you'll probably see sweaty football players out there, cross-country runners, and the like.
Golf's swinging, tennis players going at it.
Going to it. So it's a busy
Cross-country
time.
runners.
Kids will be running everywhere, as well as mom and dad getting them to a lot of those practices. The Paints won their 38th decision of the season with a 8-7 win over Champion City, who's chasing the Paints for that second season division title. Right now, the Paints are up.
5 straight wins.
They're off tonight and tomorrow, back in regular season action at Champion City on Wednesday. And we learned, since the Paints won the first half, we already knew that they will host the playoff game this weekend. But if they win the second half, it's basically the same deal. They're still going to host, and probably, if Champion City continues to stay up there, they're going to be playing them anyway. So.
Yes. And we can take more, since they don't have anything going on tomorrow, we can look more in depth into it. But they would host this Sunday, and if they win that game, they would host the following Tuesday. And then if they win that, then they would have the choice of hosting the first game or the second and third games of the championship series.
Yeah, interesting scenario the way the Prospect League does it, but it's getting down to the nitty-gritty there. How about those Red Legs? A disappointing loss Saturday, but they bounced back in a big way, and they bounced on L.A. starting pitcher 9-0 the final, and he basically, Grove, I believe his name was, he was the sacrificial lamb because the Dodgers' bullpen's a little bit depleted right now, and they just left him out there basically for several innings.
And you come away scratching your head, why can't they do this to the Brewers?
Yeah, or the Braves, yeah. Well, the Braves helped us over the weekend.
Not too many people can do it to the Braves.
Yeah. They swept the Brewers over the weekend, so with the Reds taking 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, the Reds are a half a game up on Milwaukee in the NL Central going into the beginning of a 4-game series with the red-hot Chicago Cubs. They lost yesterday, but that snapped an 8-game losing streak. The Cubs are 4 games behind Cincinnati in the NL Central.
Which we'll look at that standings here in just a moment.
And good news for the Guardians as well. They hit the 500 mark with this win over the White Sox. The White Sox, I think, had taken many of the decisions in this series, but the Guardians finally got back on the winning side 5-0 yesterday over the White Sox.
So here's how things look in the NL Central. You've got the Reds a half game up on the Brewers, followed by the Cubs, which, here not long ago, they were in double-figure losses behind. But now they're a game over 500. You got the Pirates who are 10 games back, and the Cardinals are 11 games back. Seeing that is really unusual in that regard. Right. As for the American League, here you got the Twinkies. They find themselves a half game ahead of the Guardians. And then you've got the Tigers, who are 6.5 back, followed by the White Sox, who seem to be getting rid of all their players, and Kansas City at 22 games back.
Now, the fella that I think when we were last together on Thursday, there was some discussion that the White Sox had thrown a pitcher into discussions as a possible trade with Jonathan India. That pitcher has since been traded elsewhere.
Was it the Angels?
Could be, because the Angels are basically selling off everything, too, or getting rid of it.
Yeah. Maybe it was the Rangers. One of the, I think maybe it was the Rangers, because the Rangers seem to be all in on all this. Now, Jonathan India has been placed on the injured reserve list.
10 days for plantar fasciitis. Did see an interview with him. He said, I could actually be back in 3 days, but they're going to give him 10 days. Right. Said he needed to get that in. For those of you that have that plantar fasciitis in your foot, you know how painful that is, and he just needs some time away.
So that makes you wonder, is that what decreased his availability for a trade?
Could be. And tomorrow at 4 o'clock is the deadline.
Yeah. But they always make trades afterwards, too. I don't understand that. They give you a deadline, but then they still do things in the month of
we
August.
Actually had it in the works, and we just didn't have the paperwork done. I don't know how that works,
That's why I never play fantasy baseball and never pretend to be a general manager, because I can't manage generally.
Yeah.
No Have enough time getting through the day.
No comment.
See?
Our owner may be watching.
All right, coming up here in a moment, a look at this date in history. The Litter Media Wayback Machine is dialed up to...
Well, it's not a specific year, but an era in the early 1900s.
We can get lost in an era.
Yeah.
Let's find out what happens coming up here in just a moment. Right after these words from our fine sponsors, please take a moment to give them a salute when you see them.
At Rathkamp Financial, we believe in building client relationships for the long term, guiding you through the stages of wealth with a plan and bringing you closer to reaching your financial dreams. We believe in long-term relationships and working to earn your continued trust with our customized investment solutions.
Whenever I first applied for the Archways opportunity, do I have to pay this back? Do I have to do that? Like, is it a loan? And it's not. It's a scholarship. A goal of mine is to graduate college debt-free. If you're a crew member, you get $2,500 a year, and if you're a manager, you get $3,000. And especially if you're going locally to college, like to the branch or something like that, it's really helpful.
You haven't had vodka soda like this. No one has. Made with the world's smoothest vodka plus real juice. New White Claw Vodka Soda.
See, I can't even manage pushing buttons right.
He needs that producer. We've been crying for that for 30-some years, yeah.
We need a Mr. Snurdly.
Yes.
That Rush Limbaugh used to always talk about.
Yeah. This photo came to our attention from our friends at the Pike Heritage Museum. And since this is basically the first full day of the Pike County Fair, this is circa early 1900s. And this is what the Pike County Fair looked like back in the day. And I just asked Dan before we went on the air, for those of you that have been through there down in Pike County on 23, you know where I'm talking about. This hill is still there, and I didn't know if it had a name, you know, Jasper's Hill or Piketon Hill or whatever. If anybody knows, give us a call. But that's what the Pike County Fair looked like in early 1900s.
And that's the hill that on the other side of it is the Pike County Career Technology Center. And Big Beaver Creek goes down through by there. Mm-hmm. I wonder if it's Big Beaver Ridge or something like that.
Maybe. Yeah, but if somebody down that way knows, give us a holler. We're kind of curious.
But I just did a quick search on Google Maps, and sometimes they'll have that stuff listed, but it's not listed there. So,
but I didn't see any affixed buildings anywhere in that photo. It was all tents. So probably if they called it a fairgrounds, it probably disappeared after the fair was over for another year. So
I wonder if the railroad was going through there at the time.
That's a good question. I would think as old as the railroad is in this area, that there's a good chance that there were some tracks coming through there going somewhere.
Need to get hold of somebody at the Pike Heritage Museum.
Yeah.
And find out what we can learn.
I don't know if they have a booth down at the fair this week or not. They're usually only open on like Friday, Saturday. So.
Yeah, and I walked through the commercial building. Not everything was set up yet. In fact, some of them had signs laying where their business was supposed to go.
Speaking of trains, you were telling a funny story when they were trying to introduce something at the grandstand last night.
Yeah, just before they introduced the king. By the way, Connor Snyder, if you read through the story, you'll see his resume we put together. It's an impressive resume. But he was a shoo-in for being king anyway, but he was also the only candidate.
Yeah.
So, so he was a happy guy in that regard. But just as they were getting ready to announce the king, here comes the train, and you hear the and so the announcer is standing up front there, Mr. Davis, and he's saying, well, We're going to wait for, I think there's one more whistle. And so the train, by this time, the engine, it was headed south. It's going by and rumbling past the grandstand. So it gives it about 15 seconds. It finally gets in the distance, and he starts to talk. And as soon as he starts to talk, and he's like, see, I told you there was one more.
Yeah. They can be loud.
Yeah, that I think would be the downside of anything you do there with a train track. And we know it wholeheartedly because, and you can't always tell on this program, but there is a train that rumbles by here. We're on Eastern Avenue, right close to the railroad tracks. We can hear it, but sometimes you can't hear it over the microphones thanks to the noise cancellation our microphones have.
There used to be a drive-in theater just west of Greenfield called the Ranch. The indoor theater, same owner, was the Rand, but the drive-in was the Ranch, and there was a railroad that went right behind it. Well, if you're there, and this happened to us on a number of occasions, we're watching the movie, and maybe a big important part of the movie, and here comes that train, and you can't hear anything, so...
Unless it was Twister, and then you've got the actual locomotive truly going by, and that's what they say.
What was the name of the theater in Circleville, the indoor theater? There for many, many years.
Oh, you asked me too fast.
That came to mind. You mentioned Twister. When
my sister-in-law's mother was the manager of that.
Golly.
Circleville Cinema, I think is what it was called.
Well, when that movie, this made the state wire service. When that movie came out, during the tornado scene, one of the scenes, there was an actual storm outside the theater. And it was such a violent wind that it actually knocked some of the tiles loose in the ceiling. So during the scene in the movie, the tiles are falling down on the theater goers.
Forget 3D glasses,
people are thinking, what in the world is this? Fortunately, no one was injured, but that made the AP wire service.
Was it Cedar Point or SeaWorld we went to, in which we sat in a theater, and the theater gave you the full experience of watching swashbuckling going on in the movie, and what it was a mist would spray out of the chairs in front of you.
Right.
And I can't recall if that was when we had gone up to...
I know Disney World had a bunch of things like that, too.
Well, we did the SeaWorld radio broadcast, and then Dan Jr. and I went over to Cedar Point. So I can't remember if it was the same, too, because you didn't go to Cedar Point.
Correct.
But I think you guys had a volleyball tournament to get to or something.
I can't remember.
Had to.
Oh, I can remember. Right? Get your hand out of that tank.
Don't touch the dolphins. They'll touch you.
Oh, gee whiz. Yeah. You weren't with us at that time. You were probably in Columbus. When Bob Ditto was in town, he and I went up to Ameriflora at Franklin Village?
Franklin Conservatory.
Yeah. And I think they had that's been around for many, many years, and they'd fixed it up just for Ameriflora. Yeah. Well, it's still fixed up, which is a really nice park if you've not been up there.
I've not been back since Ameriflora.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
That was 1992.
But it was kind of an international flair, and I remember the first time that I'd ever had shepherd's pie. I'd always heard about it, and Bob and I went to the restaurant where that was being served. I think it was kind of like an Irish pub, because that's kind of like an Irish dish or whatever. I mean, it was fantastic, but the portion was so large. And I'm not one to take leftovers home. I eat it. And I think I was waddling around the observatory the rest of the day. So
they had a food court there, and they had all types of international flavor. And I remember going up and getting some chicken Alfredo, and it was the first time I'd ever had it. And I fell in love with it. Yeah. And I had taken Mom up to Ameriflora so she could see some of what was going on. But we had been there I was at Easy 108 at the time. And so we did a number of broadcasts there. But one thing I remember was out in the parking lot, it was the last time I saw Daddy Wags. And so we just happened to be meeting each other in the parking lot, and hey, Daddy Wags, how you doing? Oh, hi, Dan Mitchell. Nobody knows who Dan Mitchell is anymore.
So what is there now? Where the observatory is? It's just a park or what?
Well, I think I said Franklin Conservatory, but it's Franklin Park Conservatory, I think. And so they still have plant life there. So there's all kinds of. It's more horticultural than anything, I think.
Do they have any special like festivals or events that come
that
in there?
I can't say.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
I've not been back there since 1992. Like I said.
Yeah. It was almost like a mini Disney World, Epcot. It had the international flair. They had the topiaries and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they may have even had a Mickey Mouse topiary when we were there. I remember my mother-in-law, my wife, and my daughter. That's the neat thing about when you were at the radio. You could get all these free tickets. So while Bob and I are up there doing the show, the families are running all over the place looking at the neat stuff. So
I miss those days.
Yeah, free.
Free tickets to do
As
stuff.
Marty Brenneman used to say, if it's free, it's me.
Yeah. I haven't been to a Reds game. I think that, well, maybe, yeah, I guess I was. But, used to, I wouldn't go to a Reds game unless I had free tickets in my hands.
Superbox or free tickets, yeah.
Either the radio station or one time Randy Davies gave Matt Bruning and I some tickets from the phone company. And so one thing leads to another and all that, but now that's on TV, it's always been on radio, so you're kind of there.
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't have to worry about the drive.
That's right. Yeah.
But there's something about being in the ballpark.
Yeah. One of the last times we went to, and I did hear Chris Welsh refer to it as a businessman special. He was telling a story. They don't call it that anymore. But we took a bunch of fellows from the radio station, and Dan Latham, sir, drove.
Oh, my.
And where he found a parking lot, it was almost like nobody in the world would think this was parking, but Dan made it a parking space. And
the vehicle was still there when you got after the game?
We had a blast that day. The weather was beautiful, summer day, and we sat down the third base line, and it was a nice day. We had a great time.
And let's be honest, during the rough years, finding a place to sit but this year it's been a little more difficult.
And if I'm not mistaken, after hot dogs and everything else that we had, we stopped at Montgomery Inn on the way home. It was a good day.
Montgomery Inn.
It was a very good day, yeah.
Last time I was there was after a meeting we had in Cincinnati, and we had our tails ripped the time before for whatever reasons, and then we had this unbelievable meeting, and we thought
this was a good day, yeah.
It was a good day. We were getting pay raises. We were getting all this kind of stuff, and next thing you know, we're getting Montgomery ribs.
Pay raise. Maybe that was the pay ribs, yeah. Because I don't remember any pay raise.
Well, there was a promise of pay raises, so, yeah. Thank you for the promises.
Those were the days.
All right, I guess that's our radio moment for today. So we're back at it again tomorrow with another edition of Litter Media Live right here. And again, as I promised moments ago, we'll have more Pike County Fair stuff that we'll share for you on our social media as well as our YouTube channel coming your way later today. It's just a matter of Dan's got to sit down and produce it. So
after lunch.
After lunch, yes. All right, that's it for the show today. We'll see you tomorrow with another edition of Litter Media Live.